Season 3, the No More Nice series continued. And this is episode 90. Yes. So I think we're at 335 or 337 episodes in total. And today's title for this episode is What Did We Inherit Before We Ever Had the Language for Discernment? Many of us didn't wake up one day and decide to become people pleasers. We didn't wake up one day and decide to overfunction. And we certainly didn't wake up one day and decide to avoid difficult conversations or uncomfortable conversations. Because many of us inherited patterns long before we had language for them. Before we learned discernment, many of us learned survival. And perhaps the question isn't whether we inherited those lessons. The question is, which of those lessons still serve the woman or the women we're becoming? Hey, y'all, I'm Madison Samone Chase, also known as Miss Chase. I was raised in church, and my great-grandmother, may she rest in peace, played the piano for the church, and my faith journey has always been at the center of who I am. And I'm incredibly thankful to have been raised by a hardworking, sacrificial, high-performing single mother who remains my biggest fan, my BFF, my bestie, for real. And honoring God through service and making my mama proud and using the gifts he gave me has always been deeply important to me. But somewhere along the way, while building dual careers in healthcare and wellness, showing up for people, working with celebrity clients, training celebrity clients, interviewing celebrities, serving, helping, supporting, encouraging, and constantly being quote unquote nice, I started noticing a recurring theme in both my personal and professional life. I realized there's a difference between being kind and being endlessly accessible. And there's a difference between service and overextension. And there's certainly a difference between kindness with discernment and niceness without boundaries. And slowly, I began recognizing how many people, places, and things in my life were constantly taking, sucking, leeching, using opportunists without ever truly pouring back into me. That realization didn't make me stop being who I'm called to be. It made me honest. And that honesty became the beginning of my healing season, my rebuilding season right now. And so now in season 3 of the No More Nice series, the cut to the chase at 8 with almost 333 to 337 episodes, this podcast has had a couple of different evolutions, and it has evolved into something revelatory for me. And so this is now C2 TC8 H.E.R circle. H.E.R standing for high performing, empowered women ready to thrive. And that's what this space is created for. So if you are ready to stop merely surviving and finally rebuild and heal and thrive and discern and become in real time, this space is for you. And alongside that rebuilding and that healing journey, my ultimate goal is to become a soulful CEO. Not as perfection, but as a commitment to stop shrinking, stop overextending, stop abandoning discernment, and stop delaying the purpose and the vision and the peace and calling place inside each of us. So whether you're a high-performing mother, an auntie, a godmother, a single mother, a high-performing caretaker, a high-performing entrepreneur, aspiring entrepreneur, a foster mom, a foster parent, working a 9-to-5, juggling 2 or 3 jobs, quietly rebuilding, or simply trying to hold yourself together while growing through life in real time, this space and her circle, this circle is for you. So if you're listening and or watching, pull up a real chair or a digital chair Grab yourself a cup of hot or cold herbal tea and welcome to my cozy home of Cut to the Chase at 8, now C2, TC8, Her Circle, a 15-minute micro learning moment for macro living transformations. And I am truly overjoyed that you are here because this is where we explore life together through our lived experiences, yours and mine, while giving ourselves grace in this space as we navigate some very interesting times. And here we talk about spirit, mind, and body health because our health truly is our wealth in microdoses for macro living. So make sure you join me twice daily for just 15 minutes at 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. And remember that new episodes come out the 15th of every month. 30 new episodes come out the 15th of every month for 15 days, twice a day. Because this is your daily pause for a cause, for clarity, for wellness, discernment, grace, healing, intentional decision making, and rebuilding and healing. Because how we start our day and how we end it matters. Each episode, my offer to you is 3 keys and 1 reflective question. So wherever you're listening from, I want you to turn it up and tune in. And if anything you hear today pricks your heart or lights a spark, I'd love for you to subscribe. Share this episode with someone you care about. Please leave a comment so that this episode becomes a dialogue and not a monologue. And leave a 5-star review so that this space can continue to grow and serve others. Now let's take 1 breath together. We're going to inhale for 3, 2, 1. Exhale for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's lean into today's episode of Cut to the Chase at 8, now C2, TC8, Her Circle. Let's cut the noise. Let's get clear. Let's get ready, set, go, and grow and be great towards the life we were truly called to steward. So the title for today's episode is, What Did We Inherit Before We Ever Had the Language for Discernment? One thing I've been realizing lately is that many of us didn't consciously choose some of the patterns we've been trying to heal from. Because we're still in the process of healing. Like, healing is a verb that requires action. Many of us inherited them. We inherited them from what we observed, what we lived, our lived experiences, what we were rewarded for, and what helped the people who raised us, what helped them survive. And that, what we saw them doing, is who we become before we survive. And or if we're still surviving, because we still are. And many of our mothers, our grandmothers, and caregivers were not teaching self-abandonment. They were teaching survival. But survival skills and thriving skills are not always the same thing. Those two things are not mutually inclusive. For many women, and especially many melanated women, richly melanated women, Black women, there is a whole other layer. Many of us inherited messages about who is considered safe, who is considered beautiful, who is considered intelligent, professional, feminine, desirable, trustworthy, or worthy of protection. And those messages didn't come only from outside our community. Sometimes they were reinforced inside of our communities too. The closer someone was perceived to have more colonized standard of beauty, that cultural standard or proximity to power, the more likely they were perceived to receive positive assumptions. And the further you are away from that colonized version of standard of beauty, the more likely we were to encounter stereotypes and scrutiny and suspicion or negative assumptions, or AKA the angry, melanated woman. So whether we acknowledge it or not, those messages shape identity, confidence, belonging, self-advocacy, and even how comfortable we feel taking up space. And many of us never saw healthy conflict resolution modeled. We saw endurance. We saw sacrifice. We saw keeping the peace. Even if you were in a single parent home or a two-parent home, these dynamics were constant. And when we finally began advocating for ourselves, it could feel uncomfortable because we were never taught the language of discernment. We were taught the language of survival. And the rebuilding season and the healing season invites us to ask, where did I learn this? And does this still serve me? And do I have permission to choose differently? Which is a PPT audit. People, what beliefs about yourself did you inherit from the people who raised you? Places, what environments taught you to shrink? What environments taught you to thrive? Things, what habits, assumptions, or stories are we still carrying that may belong to a previous generation's survival rather than our future? And that takes a different narrative now. SAC, SAC, spontaneous, assertive communication begins with telling ourselves the truth. I can honor where these lessons came from without keeping every lesson. I could appreciate what helped me survive without allowing it to limit my growth. I can choose differently. You can choose differently. We can choose differently, which brings me to our 3 keys. Some of our survival skills were inherited. They weren't chosen. Key number 2, what helped us survive may not be what helps us thrive. Key number 3, discernment is not abandoning kindness, it's adding wisdom to it. And our one reflection question, what beliefs about conflict, belonging, self-advocacy, worthiness, boundaries, and safety did I inherit that may no longer serve the woman I'm becoming? Let me say that again. What beliefs about conflict, belonging, advocating for yourself, self-advocacy, being worthy, setting boundaries, and safety did I inherit that may no longer serve the woman I'm becoming, that you're becoming? So if today's episode pricked your heart or lit a spark or gave language to something you've been carrying or reminded you that your peace deserves stewardship too, and that we could choose to be rooted and reachable or rooted and unreachable, depending on the season you're in and what we're being called to steward, then I'd love for you to subscribe, share this episode with someone you care about, and leave a comment so that this is a dialogue and not a monologue, and that we can continue to grow and serve others. And please leave a 5-star rating if you feel led. And if you've been quietly rebuilding alongside me, I'd love for you to consider joining the C2TC8 Her Circle, whose goal is to become a soulful CEO community. And H.E.R standing for high performing, empowered women who are ready to thrive community as we continue discerning, healing, growing, rebuilding, and building and healing and becoming together in real time. Because this season is not about becoming silent, it is about becoming rooted. So thank you for joining me for another 15-minute micro learning moment for macro living transformation. Now let's take one closing breath together for this episode. We're going to inhale for 3, 2, 1. Exhale for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm Madison Samone Chase, and this is Cut to the Chase at 8. Now C2TC8, Her Circle. Her for high performing, empowered women who are ready to thrive. Let's cut the noise. Let's get clear. Let's get ready, set, go, and grow and be great. And lean into the life we were truly called to steward. Blessings to you and yours. Until tomorrow.